Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coaches on Call Take 9, Part 3 of our 7-part series. I'm Holly Fogel,
And I'm Lori Hamilton.
and we welcome you today. So, if you've been following along with our little series, there are a lot shorter snippets of Coaches on Call, and we're really diving into 7 characteristics of agents that are at risk of being crushed by a changing market. And we want to make sure that we empower you and give you some inspiration and some hope to make sure that if you see yourself in any of these characteristics or have any of these characteristics, that we give you opportunity and we empower you to counterbalance and to counteract what you may be experiencing or feeling. So the third one that we want to dive into today are negative agents.
Yep.
And this is a big one because even in the best of markets, you're going to experience folks that just kind of operate from scarcity and from a negative mindset. But if you're not typically like that, and all of a sudden you found yourself starting to drift into what you're hearing and what the news is saying and what people that are uninformed or secret may be saying, and you're starting to hear that and it's starting to seep in through your DNA, we really want to try to help you stopping that immediately. One great thing is that chaos creates opportunity. So there is a ton of opportunity out there. And it always reminds me of Warren Buffett when he said, when people get excited about things, I get scared. And when people get scared, I get excited, because he understands that when markets change, as they always do, there's always going to be opportunity. One thing I want to remind everyone is the last 2 years, Lori and I have kind of reflected on this. Everyone was talking about this market is so crazy. This is going on. That's going on. Oh my God, I'm getting 90 offers in 10 minutes. I can't find a house for my buyer. Everyone was kind of in complaining mode, even though they were selling a lot of real estate. And everybody wanted it to level off. So now it levels off. And now we're starting to see everybody in panic mode, where the changes that we are actually going through are fantastic. A normal market is a professional's market, but a professional is also the one that can provide the highest level of service to the consumers. So this is a fantastic time if you are all in, committed, and full-time, and really have and operate from that passion level, which is what we talked about. It's so important for you to really be grounded in why you're in this business and how you serve your clients. So we want you to be the light. People are always attracted to people that have hope, to people that have a good energy, to people that look at challenges and find the opportunity in those and realize that everything's going to be fine. I mean, I feel like this is the best thing that has happened to our market. Sellers are still in a fantastic position. Renters are in a fantastic position. Buyers are in a really good position. And I would like to remind everyone that of all of those that were, all of the folks that were surveyed in the last 24 months that purchased a home, out of the people surveyed, 67% had some level of buyer's remorse. That's awful. That's awful.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be part of someone being in a transaction that they now have buyer's remorse because they felt like they had to settle, or they had to make too quick of a decision, or they overpaid, which a lot of folks overpaid in the trade-off was a low interest rate, but they ended up paying way over what they would even end up if they had a higher interest rate, unfortunately. And that was just the reality of what happened. We didn't cause it. We were just there trying to help people navigate through it. So it's really interesting times. And when I hear people, talk about the market in a negative way, it's all really a choice on how you view it, because I think it's fantastic. So we want to give you some ways and some tools that you can move yourself, if you're not already there, back into more of a positive mindset. And we want you to be the light for your clients. So Lori, what are some things that come to mind to help people stay in that more positive mindset?
Yeah. So I think, it can, I think we all sometimes can drift into a little bit of a negative mindset, right? Whether it is the people that you, like you just talked about in the beginning, the people that you surround yourself with, the negativity can breed negativity. Let's maybe start with a conscious decision of saying, okay, you know what? There's always going to be somebody that's got some kind of negative take on something, and maybe whatever information they're talking about or whatever their opinion is that they've got, recognize maybe they're about 10% right? Be like, okay. But one thing, not only just convicting yourself and making the decision of, okay, well, I'm always going to see the positive side of this, because if you do think about it, you can find it. I guarantee you. First of all, you just have to make that commitment to yourself. Oh, I will find the good in this. I'm going to find the light in this and decide to be the light. One thing that has worked for me that I absolutely love that I learned was a yes and approach. So, for example, considering somebody is always 10% right in whatever their opinion, thought, thinking, feeling, whatever they're talking about, considering that is right, you come across and go, yes, and then bring more of a positive side to it. So, for example, homes are sitting on the market longer. Like if you have a buyer and they're like, ooh, but that home's been sitting on the market longer. Yes. And that's a good thing for you as a buyer. You actually have some more time to make a better informed decision. And maybe you might get some better concessions this time around instead of having to pay over asking, and you don't have time to go inspect a property. Like this is a good opportunity for you, So the yes and approach, start thinking about it that way so that you can try to help somebody change the way they think a little bit. You're seeing the 10% and what they're saying. Yes. That's the 10% that you agree with. Yes. And how about this idea? I think that is one way that you can definitely in yourself not become so negative, because then you'll realize, what is it that we always say? You want to attract the same kind of people that you want to attract people that you want to work with. You don't want to just, you can do yes and all day long, but if they're not playing with it and they're just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't agree with you. No, I don't know. Maybe you might want to move on, but then you get to pick your client. At least you kind of know where you stand with them.
Yeah.
So the yes and approach,
Mhm.
that'll not only help you at work, that'll help you in anything. That'll help you in any kind of relationship, I think.
Well, I like what you said about it's already come into the conversation with a level of agreement. So rather than shutting down someone's thought process, you're validating that, and maybe they're more than 10%, but even at the bare minimum, there's a level of 10% is accurate. So
Right.
when you operate from that, I think it just opens up so much more creativity and just a whole different energy of how that conversation can go. And it opens up a great opportunity for further education. So even in the example that you gave, oh, homes are sitting, something must be wrong with that home. It's a great opportunity for you to say, yes, homes are sitting longer. And it's fabulous. It's actually a function of higher levels of inventory and a little bit less in the buyer demand, which is going to open up so many greater opportunities for you to make that informed decision so that you buy a house and we eliminate the buyer's remorse that so many other people may have experienced. So I really love that approach. And yeah, you're right. I can see that being used in a lot of different ways. So
I also think it can be used in problem solving too. I mean, let's just think about a real estate transaction. I mean, we're going, pretty micro here, but like, let's just think about a real estate transaction. And we always have challenges within a real estate transaction. You're negotiating things, you may be in your due diligence, whatever it is, wherever you are in the transaction. If you start getting real negative about everything in the whole transaction and you start saying not so great things about the whole situation, and you start really putting that in your buyer's mindset, you're not solving any problems. Like, people want to know a positive person helps solve problems. It's like, yes, we have radon in the basement and I know that we can do this and I know that we can do that, Oh, sorry. I hope that didn't make a big
No, you're
noise.
good.
But anyway, okay. So I think it not only is it, you're considering somebody else's, opinion about the 10% right, but you're also helping overcome problems. The yes and approach can be used so many different ways. But it does start with your mindset. Like, are you going to choose to embrace and be convicted of, okay, yes, and I'm going to get butt out of your vocabulary.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I used to use that till I learned better. So now I use yes and it is actually changed a whole lot, and it does open up a lot of creativity too, just like you talked about, Holly. So that is one
And
thing.
yes, and
Yes, and
one thing, as we kind of went through some mental fitness coaching,
oh yeah,
um, a lot of times folks will give advice, just surround yourself with people that are like-minded and this and that. And for a long time, I kind of fell into that trap. And I find it to be a trap because when you feel like you need to be only around people that are like you, that says that you don't have the mental capacity, the mental fitness to be able to take control of your own emotions and deal with people that are different than you. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous thing. It just popped in my head. I'd rather be able to deal with a lot of people and have to use my own skill set on how I relate and how I keep myself in that positive mindset, on how I can look at things as an opportunity for growth, and for learning. So when I'm dealing with someone that might be a little more negative than me or look at things differently, I'm not looking at it as, oh, this is painful. I'm looking at it as, what can I learn from that? Because if I look at that as there's 10% of truth, 10% accuracy in their thoughts, then you can always find some level of common ground. And I think we close off relationships way too soon.
yeah.
I'm not saying that you may have to stay continuing a relationship with people if it doesn't, but don't just seek out people that are just like you and then eliminate everyone else. I find that to be extremely dangerous and also very limiting on your own mental fitness abilities. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and I think it's really, really powerful.
Yeah. I just think that, the whole, negativity part, I think that all speaks for itself, at this point. It's really up to you, is what I'm trying to say. If you get to decide if you want to be a negative agent or if you want to embrace a little bit more positive light and maybe a different way to not be a negative agent, a different tactic, a different coping mechanism.
A different coping mechanism. I also think having a really good accountability partner, or
that is a great,
an accountability partner, someone where if you do start going down that negative path, you can bounce ideas off of. You can have a safe space where you are able to kind of voice what you're thinking and have someone that also is in tune with that yes and approach, that can either help you look at it a different way if you can't do it all on your own. These are muscles that you actually have to work at. It doesn't just automatically come easy for folks necessarily. So sometimes this is a challenge that requires some muscle memory and some muscle work to actually get you to change your thought patterns, and to change the way the neural paths work in your brain.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's really interesting. But I've always felt that, every event is neutral until you decide if it's positive or negative. And we all have the ability to make that choice. Every event is just an event. It doesn't have a negative or positive attachment to it until we
I never
assign.
thought about that.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No event is inherently good or bad. It just isn't. It
And I
just
love
is.
You're right. It just is. And then we make the choice on how to look at it. I do like what you said about an accountability partner. I completely forgot about that because it can be very lonely out here in the real estate world. And sometimes we feel like we're on our own island. We tend to feel like we're on our own and nobody's going through what we're going through, and to have that accountability partner. And maybe if you didn't even call them an accountability partner, because some people hate that word, even though it means love, I promise it does. Maybe it's your support person, whoever that person is, you want to have them to be able to go to and talk through these things. Hopefully they too will have the same approach and the same vision that you do about not being, going down the negative side. Because I know you and I've called you before, and then there's been times where I'm like, oh wait, I was on that side of my brain. Hold on, stop. And you're like, yep, you were. Let's go over here. So I always need that extra person too.
Yeah, just having a little redirect. So,
Mhm.
all right, we want you to stay informed. We don't want you to be secret. And we're hoping that you'll move more toward a positive approach in your business, in your activities, in your service, and in your communications with your clients. So, as we wrap this one up, are you a negative agent? We hope not, because we hope not, because you could be at risk. So hopefully some of these tips gave you some empowering ideas and food for thought. And we look forward to seeing you as we move into the fourth characteristic coming at you real soon.